just give you all a little history of the Restore the Street team and how we got started and the work that we've been doing here in the Trenton community over the past 9 months and the monumental work that we're looking to do moving forward in 2023. So with that being said, April of 2022, our street team and 6 of our street team members are on the call this morning. We started training with Newark up in Newark, New Jersey. If you guys are not familiar with the Newark Community Street Team, I ask you to please get familiar with them. They are doing monumental work up in the Newark community and in the public schools in Newark. So if you get an opportunity to look at them, but there's no use in inventing the wheel. We are merit after that program. We have been trained by that program. We have our group of 2 of our HRI workers are on the call right now, Diane and Keon. And our outreach workers are also here, and I'll be introducing them shortly. So just real quick, some of the work that we've started here in the Trenton community in July of 2022, we had the first peace rally here in Trenton, New Jersey, where we brought all 4 wards of the city, east, west, south, and north, all together for a peace rally that was held downtown. And that was our introduction into the Trenton community. And since we've done that, we've done other work into the neighborhood. And just give you a couple of examples of that. Mike Hilton, who's one of our outreach workers, have a program that called Guns Down, Gloves Up, where we worked with over 30 children over the summertime, teaching them the art of boxing and discipline and working and mentoring them and tutoring them. So those are some of the things we've been able to do. Also connecting with some mothers here in the city of Trenton. It's heartbreaking when you hear some of the stories that come out of the city of Trenton, but connecting with some of the mothers who are now working together and changing the cycle and supporting them in what they're looking to do here in the community to reduce violence. So working with all our partners to create a safe Trenton. I say it all the time, we are not Newark. We are 7.5 square miles here in Trenton, New Jersey, with so many great people doing so many great things here that we should be able to connect and do this work together and have a more robust program than they actually have in Newark, New Jersey. So with that being said, and without further ado, real quick, the purpose of the public safety roundtables. And I'm just going to hit on about four good bullet points about the purpose of this program. Number 1 is stats. The stats tell a story. All the stats that come out of Trenton tell the story. All the stats that come out of New Jersey tell a story, and it directs us on where we need to go. So we are super excited to have our partners, and I'll be introducing Reverend Teller with the 4Cs partners shortly to talk about how do we get the stats from our law enforcement, how do we work with those stats to make our community safer. Strategic partners. I talked about Lenny, so many other people that are on this call, strategic partners, whether it's with our hub partners, whether it's the partners that we're working with to provide services here in Trenton. We know that public safety, the underlying issues that drive crime are so many other issues: education, vocational training, substance abuse, all those things and all those underlying issues. We want to make sure that we're partnered with our strategic partners here in Mercer County and Trenton to make sure that we're coming up with a plan to address those problems. Stories. The stories tell the pain, but it also gives us our purpose of where we need to be doing this work at. So I've been able to, and just real quick story, we've been working up at the high school and at the Holland Middle School, and I've been really working closely at the Holland Middle School, but the stories that our kids are telling is something that we must listen to and something that we must hear. And those stories, once again, are the pain, but it also drives our purpose. Solution-oriented connection. These public safety roundtable meeting, we'll announce our next meeting at the end of this Zoom call, but our solution-oriented connections that we have, people that we're working together. As I stated earlier, we're a small town. We have a lot of great people on this call right here, and we have a lot of great people in this city. We want to make sure at these public safety roundtable meetings that we're not only coming up with addressing the problems here in our city, but we are making sure that we're creating solutions to those problems. So with that being said, and without further ado, I'd like to bring on my leader, someone who I've been, I am blessed. I am blessed, super blessed to have this man in my life. I've worked with him over a number of years at Salvation and Social Justice, and it's just an honor to be in his presence, and super excited that Salvation and Social Justice headquarters is now right here in Trenton, New Jersey. So without further ado, I'd like to bring on my leader, Reverend Charles Boyer, and he's going to talk a little bit about the work Salvation and Social Justice not only doing here in Trenton, New Jersey, but has been doing throughout the state of New Jersey for a number of years. Reverend Boyer.
Thank you, Tracy. And Tracy is way too kind. He's a major. He's really been a mentor to me in so many ways for so many years. Somebody that I've leaned on, learned a lot from, and coming into Trenton has certainly been a major blessing. Being able to work even that much closely. Tracy also served as one of the original board members for Salvation and Social Justice, so helped us to really get up and running. So he has been a major part. I just want to lift up 2 or 3 very brief things before we, move on. One, Salvation and Social Justice really starts from a policy standpoint. First, we start from a Black faith construct, knowing that in predominantly Black communities historically, and even to this current day, that the church has played a central role, that there's a tremendous amount of trust and faith, credible messaging that comes from the church. And to be totally honest and transparent, right, that has waned over the years. Right. And so one thing that we're very passionate about, though, is also realizing that even with that being said, that it is still one of the most trusted sources within Black communities. And so that's how we really come to all of this work. We've mostly worked on public policy for many years, and a lot of public policy specifically around issues of policing in Black communities. Well, one thing that led us to, which is very critical in our formation as an organization, it's one thing to talk about what police should be doing. It's another thing to also take accountability for what we should be doing as communities. And I've been one to always say, it's better to build institutions, build community trust, and to build communities than it is to build soapboxes. And so it's critically important that if we're really to get to the bottom of many of the issues within impoverished communities, historically marginalized communities, that we get at the root problems. And so while issues of accountability are critically important, and we continue to do those things on the policy side, we also see why it is majorly important to build bridges and partnerships, community trust, this being one of those things, and building institutions and infrastructures that pull people who are closest to the issues in our community into leadership in order to build the problems. And so I look forward to the day when the street team and a community public safety model is as robust as the current public safety models we have, and where violence and poverty are no longer pervasive, and where we're all able to work together to make our communities better. And so therefore, I'm extremely blessed to be part of this work. We certainly thank the Attorney General's office, which is the main supporter of this work that we're doing. And these roundtables here look to pull an all the systems approach into what is necessary to get at these issues on the ground and in the streets. And so we thank Tracy, we thank all of the street team members, and certainly want to thank Retha Onatiri who heads up this work for us and is helping to build out this program. So God bless you. Thank every single one of you for being on with us.
Thank you, Rev. Appreciate that. Next up, what we're going to do on this first call, we want to be able to get some introductions out of the way. And like I said, at the end of this meeting, we're going to announce our next public safety roundtable meeting and that date and time. So as we go through the introductions, next I want to bring up one of our HRIs, high-risk interventionists, Keon Jones, who is heading up our street team. And, you know, I can't say enough about having the ability to work with these 6 individuals that I've worked with over the past 9 months, Keon being one of them. Rev talked about those who are closest to the problem and close to the pain, how we need to be driving them and riding with them towards the solutions. This street team is made up of some of those individuals. And with that being said, I want to introduce Keon, and Keon can just basically real quick introduce the street team workers that we have on the call. And then I'll turn it over to the next HRI person, which is our other HRI, Diane Bellamy. Keon?
All right, I'm Keon Jones, long life Trentonian here. I'm actually already involved in public safety within the city of Trent. I'm a firefighter of 10 years. So I'm involved in public safety and see a lot of things on firsthand basis, doing EMS work, seeing gunshot victims, seeing all types of things like that. The lady of my life is also a public safety officer with being a detective in the city of Trenton. And my son helps me with my nonprofit, which we do preventative work. He usually is dressing up as Elmo, delivering Sesame Street passes to gunshot victims. So I have a family that's involved and indebted to Trenton with public safety. That's a little bit about myself. As an HRI, my role is to make strategies to connect with the community. Some of those strategies and some of those events look like micro target events that we do where we connect with the community. We'll throw a cookout. We don't put it on social media. We actually pass out flyers to that local community where we want to connect with the residents and surround them with resources. My job is usually if it's a murder in the city, if there's something going on, I dispatch outreach workers who are well qualified, inactive and former gang members that we have on our team. I love our team. We have Pastor Antonio Bellamy, Pete Lewis, the champ, Michael Hilton. We have Quason Pittman. And I think that's our outreach workers. But if it's a murder in the city or if it's something in the city, I will dispatch them. They will then go out and figure out what's going on in the streets and basically diffusing things before they get started. They do real good preventative work. I'm proud of my team. I love them. And that's pretty much what we do, just to keep it brief, pretty much what I do as an HRI. Our main goal is to liberate the Black community, first and foremost, and then minimize murders in the city of Trenton, which we have done a great job. I think we had 25 murders compared to 40 in 2021 and 40 in 2020. So we have been doing great work and been involved and, just doing preventative work that can make Trenton a better place for all of us to live. Everybody on this call, I'm sure, has a passion or care for the city of Trenton, and just know that we are doing what we need to do, and we are boots on the ground. Thank you.
Thanks, Keon. Appreciate it. Great job. Next up, I want to bring in our other HRI, and Keon makes a great point. When we talk about, the mayors of the block, those are on the community that are in these corners here. A lot of the stuff that happens on the corner ends up in our high school. A lot of stuff that happens in the corners ends up in our junior high school. So be able to have both of those connections on the community, on the blocks, to make sure that we're quelling violence there, but also making sure that we're not having that violence transfer up into the high school and the junior high school. And so with that being said, I want to bring on our other HRI, Diane Bellamy, who heads up our Safe Passage program. And, I can't say enough about the Safe Passage program and how those connections with our kids at the school and the community has really, really made the difference. So without further ado, Diane Bellamy.
Hello, good morning, guys. Good morning, good morning. As Tracy said, my name is Diane Bellamy. I am extremely excited to be on a call with you guys. I see a lot of familiar faces. So I want to say good morning to all of you. I want to also say, please forgive my background. I'm actually currently working in my salon, and we know how the ladies do in the salon, so it is not quiet. It's like to come find me a quiet place to come sit. So as Tracy said, I am also one of the HRIs with Keon Jones, and we oversee the street team. But I've also been currently operating as the Safe Passage Director, in which we launched this new initiative under the street team, which is called Safe Passage. And one of our greatest goals under Safe Passage is to lower violence, right? So lower violence under the street team, but also provide safety for students as they go to school and return home from school. And the way we choose to do that is through a data-informed model that's been proven to lower violence on school grounds. And the way we specifically choose to do it is showing up by being present. We know when people are present, you are able to build connections. You are able to relate to these students. So through our connection with the students on the Safe Passage team, we've been able to go a little further than just showing up as a security presence or anything like that, because we don't want to be security. They have that at the school. We also don't want to be police because Trenton has that. We want to show up as people who are listening to the students, people who see them, because we know oftentimes they have disciplinarians in their life, but they don't have connections, people who are willing to see them and listen to them. So not only are we outside on the school grounds, we are excited to announce that we've launched our mentorship programs within the school. So right now we are currently at 2 different schools. We are at Holland Middle School, and we're also at Trenton High School out Weber section. And we just started our mentorship program there. For the guys, it's called Mail Room, and the guys are doing a phenomenal job connecting with young boys, but they are helping them to open up and talk about what they're feeling. They're giving them tools. And me and our therapist, Tashana, which you will hear from at some point on this call, we are working with the young ladies where we are teaching them self-regulation. We are helping them to set goals and achieve those goals. And we're just showing up, being present, being, like I said, being people who are there. We are providing a safe space for them, which we call a peace circle, where we're able to sit down. We are able to deal with some of the conflict that they might even have within their own group circles, their own friend circles. So we're sitting there providing that as mentorship and also as mediation. We show up. And I would just like to add too, I personally believe through experience that I've had, I lost my brother to gun violence in the city of Trenton at the age of 15. And just personally, I show up with that experience. So, and I believe that if you get with young people earlier, they have a higher chance at making better decisions, better choices when they have the support they need. And sometimes the support they need isn't going to come from home. It isn't going to come from school. So I thank God for our team. I thank God for the Trenton Restorative Street team and the Safe Passage team, in which we chose to show up courageously, with experience, with prayer, and with power, to be supportive, to be role models for these students. So I thank you all for this time, and I thank you all for listening. And I ask that you continue to pray for us, because we know there's a lot of work. That we have a small team, and we're building. We have about 5 Safe Passage team members, including our professional safety street team. Together, we're working at the schools, but continue to pray for us as we're doing the work that's set out before us.
Thank you, Diane. Thank you. And as y'all can see, we have an awesome team here at Salvation and Social Justice at the Street and Restore the Street team. So without further ado, we want to bring on, and Diane talked a little bit about her. I can't say enough about trauma in our community. Let me repeat that. I can't say enough about the trauma that we face in our community, trauma that our kids face that we have begun to normalize far too often in our community. And how do we address that trauma? Well, we have Tosh, Jasmine Roberts on with us, and Tosh is part of Salvation and Social Justice. She is one of our social workers and doing work, I'll let her tell the story of our experience up at Holland Middle School when we introduced ourselves to the students. So I'll let Tosh share that story. Tosh?
Good morning. Can everyone hear me? It is so just so honored to be here with you all. Such an amazing moment. I love to start this story with Tracy Syfax first. I was a young girl here in Trenton, New Jersey, who had no resources, who had no support, and all I knew was the block. That's all I knew. I was exposed to the gang, the violence, the corner stores. I ate the cheesesteaks and the hoagies. That was my dinner every night. We just didn't have, any mentorship. And when I saw Tracy Syfax start the block in a boardroom movement, I was like, wow, there's another option than Hoffman and Stuyvesant in the corner store. So I began to follow his journey. I began to read his book and I began to dream. And I was a teen mom. I had a baby at 14 years old. And I decided to go to college. I was so inspired by his movement. And now I have an associate's in psychology, a bachelor's in psychology, and a master's in clinical therapy, counseling, and human services. All because I knew that I had to come back to Trenton to give back. I knew from one who had the experience in the community, had to come back to give, my family members and my community the tools that they would need. So here at Salvation Social Justice, I'm called the hood therapist because there's no street that I won't go to. I'm willing to go to the projects. I'm willing to go to Dolly Homes and the alleyways. There is no limitations. If you need something, call me because I probably know somebody right in the corner stores. Like no limits here. And I'm just a piece of the puzzle. And here at Salvation Social Justice, we believe that mental health plays a substantial role in restoring justice, in violence prevention and intervention, and positive community engagement. We recognize that many of our families here in Trenton are impacted by undiagnosed mental illness, grief, addiction, adverse childhood experiences, and in turn, we see dire ramifications for these things, such as violence, such as death and suicide, and other elements that play a role in the dysfunction in our community. And in order to combat these outcomes, we begin the social worker initiative. And that what we do here, we're going into the homes, we're going into the schools, we're going into the communities, wherever, like I previously stated, and we assess the needs of the families. So we're looking for the things that they're not saying. So we know some things on the surface level, they might just say, a kid at Holland, or we're just fighting. No, when I come on board, I'm saying, okay, what's the need? What's the family dynamic? Is there any dysfunction? Is there any mental illness? Is there any grief? And if we've identified these things with an assessment, we're outsourcing and we're linking these families to resources. That is housing support. That is mental health support. That is actually psychiatric support, medication modification, medication monitoring, whatever resource they need. With my clinical eyes and the team clinical eyes, we are making sure they have the appropriate resources. So we're not going into a family and saying, okay, that's just a housing need and skipping over that there's a mental health need. That Rashawn, the 17-year-old here at Trenton High, is not just having behavior issues. There may be some IEP issues, and he's not getting his needs met. So guess what the social worker is doing? We're going to the IEP meeting. We're making sure the families are getting their rights and their needs met. We're saying, okay, you're seeing this issue, but there might be an underlying issue. How can we further explore this to make sure that Rashawn gets the necessary tools and resources that he needs? So we have partnered with many of the community agencies and mental health agencies. So we have a direct referral process to them. Our families don't wait. They get a referral. We do the referral. We do our assessment, and they are getting an intake within 24 hours. And if they have crisis, we're on the road, we're on the floor, and we actually are helping that family through that crisis. And we're making sure that everyone involved in the success of that family, which we call a wraparound service, are being accountable. So we're holding monthly meetings with the therapist. We're holding monthly meetings with the principal, with the mom, with the grandma, the guardian, whoever is in part of that team to make sure that family is a success. We're putting them at the table. We're checking in on weekly check-ins. So we're just not stopping at the resource. We are making sure that we are continuing to make sure that family get all their needs met met appropriately. And we're making sure with our clinical eyes, with our support, with our love and our engagement, that we will see them become stable. So whatever it is, however it is, there is no limits. As I said, there's no person we're not willing to touch and no person we're not willing to reach. And we stop at nothing to make sure that our families in Trenton get their needs met so we can see a reduction in violence, so we can see families, if they are diagnosed, we give them support. So when these murders are happening, as we are trying to reduce them, that we're giving them grief therapy, that we're giving grandma who's taking, who's watching all 4 of her grandkids, the necessary support, because we know, according to data, that that's what we see in that community, that because addiction is what it is, we have grandmothers and grandpops raising their kids, and they need support, whether that's medical support, mental health support. We are here, and we will stop at nothing to make sure they get their needs met.
Great job, Tosh. Appreciate you. Great job. Thank you very much. Next up, Reverend Boyer talked about her earlier. I can't say enough about her. I've been working with her on the ground here in Trenton for the past 9 months. She's our program director for Salvation and Social Justice. Retha Onateri is going to come on and talk about our restorative justice hubs and our peace circles and how that is being implemented with all our partners and some of our, some of our partners around the restorative justice hubs are on the call right now. So Retha?
Yes, good morning. Happy New Year, everyone. Sorry, I am not on camera, but I'm having technical difficulties, so I'm going to stay off camera and talk to you. Again, my name is Retha Onatiri. I am the Restorative Justice Fellow at Salvation and Social Justice. I have the honor to work with Tracy and Diane and Keon and all the street team members and the Safe Passage folks, making sure that they get everything they need on the ground to make sure their life is easy and that they can get the job done. I also have the opportunity to work with our Restorative Justice Hub partners, many are on this call, and I'm going to introduce them in a few minutes. But our Restorative Justice Hub model is something that we have envisioned for, I would say, about 5 years now. Back in 2017, 16, 17, Reverend Boyer, Sister Boyer, Salvation and Social Justice, along with folks at the New Jersey Institute for Social Justice, actually started a community engagement initiative in which we went across the state and 6 cities talking about what can we put on the ground as an alternative to incarceration for young people. We worked in Trenton, Newark, Paterson, Jersey City, New Brunswick, many places. And one of the things that kept coming up was we need a restorative justice approach. We need something that's not punitive. All of that work turned into, and I've given this story a million times, but it's just fascinating that we were able to really put into place what we had envisioned. So we put together a toolkit. We turned that toolkit into legislation. Assemblywoman Reynolds Jackson and Ed Giddens worked with us to make sure that legislation was passed. And it was passed and signed off in 2021 now. That legislation actually led to funds that are going to be moved from incarceration into the communities to the tune of $8.4 million to actually bring up restorative justice hubs in 3 cities. That's Newark, Paterson, and Trenton. And so that's $2.1 million coming to Trenton eventually. But we also had an opportunity to kind of get our restorative justice hub up and running a little earlier. Reverend Boyer mentioned that we won funding to do violence intervention and prevention here in Trenton through the Attorney General's office. And we felt it was the perfect time to actually implement and model what we had in mind around a restorative justice hub. And that is to make sure that we connect to the community, that we resolve conflicts before they turn into violence, and that we connect folks in the community, that's young people, residents, families, to services. So we are extremely happy that we are now here in Trenton to be able to do that for the community. We cannot do this alone. There are partners who are on this call who have been with us throughout the entire journey over the last 5 to 6 years. And so I'm going to take some time to acknowledge them and ask them to just say a few words about who they are. Just 20 seconds, not a long dissertation, but just introduce yourself and say a little bit about what you do within the hub. I'm going to start, of course, with Reverend Taylor, actually. So Reverend Taylor is part of our hub, and I know, Reverend Taylor, you're going to be also introducing our law enforcement partners, but can you just say a little bit, introduce yourself and say a little bit about who you are?
Good morning, Reverend Taylor, Friendship Baptist Church, New Beginning Christian Worship Center on the pastoral side, community activist, various things, but also the president of the Capital City Community Coalition and partner with Salvation and Social Justice. We work extensively with law enforcement, all agencies with higher education, local public school systems, activists on the street, as we say, boots on the ground, some corporations, but any phase and partnership that we can form with law enforcement, we do all that with all agencies, whether or not it's the local law enforcement or if it's ICE, Secret Service, whoever it may be, prosecutor's office, where we're sitting at today. But most of all, we try to fight the big thing first, which is poverty. Then we try to educate people, and so on and so on. So we do the holistic approach. Hopefully I said it all.
Thank you so much, Reverend Taylor. Let me also move to Dean John. Renee John, can you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, Renee John, Trinity Cathedral. Glad to be in partnership with all these wonderful people doing great things. At Trinity Cathedral, we are just trying to do our little piece. We're working on mental health and grief support. Kimmy Carlos, who is a mental health advocate, is very passionate about that and has worked long in the vineyard. And Regina Thompson Jenkins, whose own son was killed in the streets of Trenton, has this group that meets monthly and in touch with families, not trying, as she says so eloquently, not trying to fix anybody, but trying to provide for them an opportunity to share their grief. And I think together, working together, we can do wonderful things. And glad to be part of this, and glad for Charles Boyer and Salvation and Social Justice and all the wonderful things that's happening.
Thank you so much, Dean John. Benjamin Thornton, I think I saw you on the call.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Benjamin Thornton. I'm the Director of Outreach Services for Anchor House, and we're pleased to be partners in this effort as well.
Thank you so much. Can we hear from Diane Bellamy?
Absolutely. Again, good morning, guys. Not only am I one of the HRIs or the Safe Passage Director, I'm also the owner of In His Image Hair Studio, and I'm happy to be one of the hub partners for Salvation and Social Justice. At In His Image, we provide a space for people to come, women and men to come feel safe. Also a space to host peace circles, and we're looking to do beauty treatments for those who are in need in the community.
Thank you so much. Bill Davis.
Good morning, Bill Davis from the Father Center of New Jersey. We're happy to be part of this coalition. We serve men, helping men become successful and overcoming barriers. And like 90% of our men are returning citizens. So we're excited to be a part of this team.
Thank you so much. Reverend Armstrong, did I see you on the call?
Yes, ma'am. How are you? Good to see everyone, and great to be here. Certainly supportive of anything and anybody that is doing work with the orphans and the widows of our city. That's what the scripture says is true religion. I want to congratulate both of these street teams for getting this up and running. Pastor Boy, I got mad respect for you, and Sister Nitri, and all the folk at SNSA, as well as all the other folk who are doing good work. We're at Charlotte Baptist Church, and we're trying to connect the work around our local church, build a family life center. We hope to get online this year. The pandemic put us back. So that'd be a $7 million new community asset that will border along the North 25 region and connect that to 2 historical assets, the Carver Center, as well, the first Y in the city of Trenton, as well as the Higbee-Nixon School, the first school that educated colored children, Black children in the city of Trenton. So all that area around our congregation, we're hoping to see revitalized, refurbished, and renovated to become nutritious, contributing entities within our community. And so we support all the good work you all are doing. God bless you.
Thank you so much. Pastor Bellamy. Pastor Tone, are you there? Okay, I'm going to come back to him. I'm also going to recognize some other folks who are on the call. So there is another street team, the Trenton Community Street Team. Perry Shaw, could you introduce yourself and your team?
Good morning, everyone. Yes, we're Trenton Community Street Teams. We're in collaboration with Isles Incorporated and also Building a Better Way for Trenton. I'm joined here to my right by Mr. Corey Ingram, who is our lead therapist. I'm joined to my left by Mr. Ramon Trent. He is our deputy director for our outreach and also for our engagement with the schools. And I have Heather Johnson-Smith to my left. She's our operations manager as well. We're here in collaboration with Salvation Social Justice, making sure that we provide services for individuals and families in the city of Trenton. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Perry. Pastor Tone, I see you're back on. You're on mute, Pastor Tone.
Sorry about that. Pastor Tone Bellamy, senior pastor at Transformation Church right here in the city of Trenton, where our ambition is to see the least, last, and lost here in the city of Trenton loved and cared for. We are honored to be able to partner with and kind of forwarding the missional agenda of God and transforming the city of Trenton, man. And so I'm so grateful for the leadership of Reverend Boyer and Lady Rosalie and the privilege that we have to be able to work together and do anything that's going to move our city forward. So
thank you so much. There's just a few other folks I want to recognize before I turn it back over to Tracy. Gantry Fox, who's from Salvation Social Justice. Gantry.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Gantry Fox, I'm the Director of Operations for Salvation and Social Justice. Great to be with you all this morning.
Oh, thank you so much. Candace, are you on? Okay, so Candace is our intern. Yes, could you introduce yourself, please?
Absolutely. Sorry, I'm not on camera. Good morning, everyone. My name is Candace Lovelace. I am an intern with Salvation and Social Justice for this year. I am a third-year Master of Divinity student at Princeton Theological Seminary. I'm excited to be working with the organization in every way I can. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Also wanted to recognize and give the floor to Bren Whittle from the Attorney General's office. Bren.
Good morning, everyone. So happy to be here today. And again, I just want to commend the street team and also Salvation and Social Justice for the work that you're doing. Just here in support. And, I just wish you the best moving forward with the public safety roundtables. There's so much needed in Trenton. So thank you.
Thank you so much. First Lady Rosalie Boyer, I thought you had dropped. You'd like to say a few words.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to get off, but good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm Development Director at Salvation and Social Justice and also the First Lady of Greater Mount Zion AME Church. It's a pleasure to be on this call. And I enjoy and it's an honor to work alongside the Restorative Street Team. They're awesome people.
Thank you so much. Steve Campos, could you please introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Pleasure to be here. I'm the director of the Office of Violence Intervention and Prevention with the Attorney General's Office under the newly formed Division of Violence Intervention and Victim Assistance. I'm grateful to be here. I've been part of community organizing work and prevention work for years. I know that everything that everyone is talking about on this call is what works and is what is needed. So it's a pleasure to kick off the new year with such an amazing collective of community leaders. And, I'm looking forward to the continued partnership.
Thank you so much. I think I can turn it back over to you, Tracy. I think you have some additional people you would like to also call on. Thank you all.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And thank you, Rita. Thank you very much. Before I do that, I just want to recognize a couple of more people that are on this call and didn't think it was robbery that they would join us this morning for this call, especially being that they was just sworn in the office about 3 days ago. So first, I just want to welcome Yaz Gonzalez. Not Yaz. My bad. I'm speaking too early. Councilwoman Figueroa Kittenberg is on the call from the South Ward, and from the West Ward, our West Ward, Councilwoman Frisbee is on the call. So I just want to recognize those two folks for being here this morning, but also want to recognize I have been in touch with the mayor's office. He could not be here on this morning. He had a conflict, but he assured us moving forward that he will definitely make sure that he's part of the public safety roundtable discussions. And I do believe Rick Gavin is on the call representing the city. So thank you, Rick, for joining in. So real quick, the Attorney General's office, we definitely thank them when we talk about partners. This work doesn't get done without the Attorney General's office. So we definitely thank the Attorney General and his staff for the work that they're doing with us as partners in this work. But, law enforcement plays a big role in it. Once again, we're a small town. So we're super excited to have law enforcement with us this morning and moving forward, having them here on these calls to do report outs, to talk about stats, to do report outs on what's going on in the community so that we can begin to have dialogue with the community, because there's no public safety without the public. And what we're looking to do is connect the public into public safety through these conversations. So without further ado, I want to bring on my dear friend, Reverend Taylor, who, if you have not been to a 4Cs meeting, I repeat, if you have not been to a 4Cs meeting, this is where the partnership works at. Reverend Keller brings all the partners from Mercer County around law enforcement to discuss the issues that affect Trenton the most. So without further ado, I want to bring on Reverend Taylor from the 4Cs. He's going to introduce our prosecutor, Angelo, and some other folks that he has in the room with him. Reverend Taylor?
Good morning once again. Trace, how much time do we have? Do we have like 5 or 6 people in the room?
Yes, sir. Yes, I would take your time to go. You're a big, important part of this, these discussion, Rev. So I would take your time and don't take long, but take your time.
Okay. That sound like 4C. Once again, we want to say good morning to all of the partners that are tuning in on today. It's very important that we do the things that we do to make sure that we empower the community, African-American community, whatever happens in Trenton, surrounding townships. So it's very important that we have these partnerships. Today, we have not only law enforcement, but the superintendent is here, the fire director is here, state police is present, and our local police director is here. But I'm gonna have Angelo Onfrey, who is the chief prosecutor in Mercer County. He's gonna start, then he will introduce the various ones in the room, and they can get right to what they want to do. Because we need to hear the information, the data, the stats, and it's very important, as Reverend Boyer had said earlier, that we have these partnerships with the Attorney General's office and the resources that we have, but the work that we're doing, the resources that was granted to us, we appreciate that, but we need a whole lot more. And we also need corporate America to also get involved with the assignment that we have to make sure that the least represented non-voices that are not at the table, that we have a voice for them. So with that, Angela, God bless you. Good morning to you. We'll get started.
Morning, Pastor. Good morning, everyone. And thanks for setting the meeting up, Tracy. Much appreciated. Before we get in, when we spoke at the Four Cs, it was pretty clear that you guys needed a lot of information in real time so that you can keep safe. And Director Wilson and I are going to go over that in a little bit. But one of the things that we talked about at the Four Cs meeting was doing an expungement seminar so folks could get their records clear so they could get the jobs. And that was something that was very important to both Tracy and Pastor Boyer. So I've asked Assistant Prosecutor Elizabeth Newton, who is the head of our expungement unit, just to talk for a few minutes about that. And we are planning this expungement seminar for end of May, early June. And it'll be open to the whole city. And if anybody has ideas about locations, we found that churches work really well, schools, someplace that the folks feel safe going in and that it's not going to be a setup. And Elizabeth will go over everything else.
So Angelo asked me to touch base on two of the new aspects of the expungement law. There's been two pretty big ones. One is the regarding marijuana. So in addition to making marijuana or criminalizing marijuana, they've made a big push to make it easier to get expungements for marijuana and also made some of them automatic. So if you have a conviction for under 50 grams of marijuana for possession of that, it's an automatic expungement. If you have convictions for over that amount of marijuana, it's almost treated as a step down for purposes of expungement. So if you have an indictable conviction for that, it will be treated as a disorderly person. So if you have a disorderly person, it will be treated as a local ordinance, things like that. So it makes it easier for people with those convictions to get them expunged. Another big one is, or the other big one is a clean slate. So if after, normally there's a limit to what you can get expunged. It's the maximum is one indictable conviction with under 3 DPs or PDPs. I'm going to try to speak louder. I don't have a good carrying voice. I apologize.
Much Elizabeth, it's closer to the mic.
Sure.
We'll just have Elizabeth move up and get her a little closer to the mic.
I hope this is better. I'm going to try to speak up too. The other big change in the law is clean slate. So typically there's a limit as to what you can get expunged, regardless of how long it's been. So if you've had one indictable conviction and 3 disorderly persons or petty disorderly persons offenses, you'd be barred from getting anything expunged. But now they've made something called clean slate, which is after the expiration of 10 years of the last thing you ever did for your conviction. So the last date of your parole, the last day of your probation. If after 10 years, you've had no other arrests or convictions, just convictions, you can have your entire criminal history expunged. There are some things that are barred, and they're the things that you would expect. It would be homicide, arson, kidnapping, things of that nature, but it's for people who have been law-abiding for 10 years or so to make it easier for them to get expungement. So those are kind of the two big changes in the recent changes in the expungement law.
Thanks, Elizabeth. And what we're looking to do for the expungement seminar is not only just tell people how to get the expungements, but we're working with the County Bar Association to have volunteer lawyers that day so that the expungement paperwork can actually be done while the person's there. It's a little bit of a bigger undertaking now because all the expungement stuff is now online. So we're arranging for all the computers and the hotspots and everything else. So again, we'll be in contact with you, Tracy, and Reverend Boyer, and we'll start putting that together.
So, Angela, I was kind of networking a little bit while y'all were talking, and being that the superintendent is here, and Trenton Central High School is central in Trenton. He's going to volunteer those days because there's plenty of parking and everything. So we're networking now. So we were working on the location.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks, Dr. Earl. And that really is a perfect location. You guys have the Wi-Fi, everything else, rooms where individuals can go in and talk to somebody more privately, which is good. So I think that's a perfect location. We also have today, and just a couple other things that we're doing. When Director Wilson and Director Douglas came into office, they both approached me about trying to connect the young people with career opportunities. And what we are doing is reinvigorating the Trenton Police Athletic League into the Trenton Police Activities League. And we already have a couple of great components in place. Dr. Earl's been a fantastic partner with us, offering us space at the high schools. But we've restarted the Trenton Police Explorers program, which I'll let Director Wilson talk about. We are sponsoring the Public Safety Academy. We are setting up a boxing program, and something that Dr. Earl had asked us to do, quite frankly, was something where the students could learn a skill that would lead into an employment opportunity. So we're also going to be starting a drone program. My office purchased 10 drones that we're going to be incorporating into the Police Activities League as well as the school through the ROTC program at the Trenton 9th Grade Academy. And we'll be moving along from there. So at this point, I'll turn it over to Director Doug.
Good morning, everyone. If you're not familiar with me, my name is Kenneth Douglas, Director of Trenton Fire and Emergency Services, where the fire department is responsible also with the EMS division and also emergency management. I hail from the great city of Newark. I heard it mentioned about Newark earlier, but I am from Newark, born and raised, educated, all my college degrees, from my associate all the way to my master's degree through Rutgers University at Essex County College. Also, I'm a retired Newark firefighter where actually I served as a detective in the arson squad there also. So I'm much familiar about juvenile programs, let alone law enforcement also, because I actually wore both hats. One of the things that well, a little bit about my background, just I'm retiring from the city of Newark. Actually, I spent almost 7 years as the director of the Orange Fire Department. I resigned from that position to come to the state's capital. Probably one of the best moves I made in my career. And I enjoy being here and do what I can do for Trentonian and all those in the city of Trenton. To make sure the fact that the state capital is represented well and properly, and that we are the leaders of the state of New Jersey when it comes down to public safety and excellence. I do have a great partnership with the police director, Steve Wilson. We collaborated this summer along with the EMS division with a program I brought called the Junior Public Safety Academy. Not only did they learn techniques from the fire department, the police department, and EMS, we're giving them career options and educating them all about, maybe somebody wants to be a cop, maybe somebody wants to be a firefighter, maybe somebody wants to be an EMT. In addition, we take them through several education training, and they actually left the academy with about 7 certifications. Some include the CPR AED certifications, which is a 2-year certification. In addition, they were exposed to scuba diving, rappelling. The list goes on. I have a whole list of that stuff. But, it was a great program. It's unfortunate that we can have more kids, because when we started it, people was very hesitant of it. But when it started moving, the phones couldn't stop ringing. We ended up graduating like 13 kids. About the time more kids wanted to come, we're already 2 weeks in, so we couldn't let them come in because they're too far behind in training. We had these children the whole summer, and then it cost the parents $1. We took them to trips, I believe, through the state police, the Capitol. We actually took them on a train all the way up to the World Trade Center. They seen the World Trade Center, went all the way up to the observatory deck. In addition to the 9/11 museum, these kids weren't born. Actually, when it happened, I was one of the persons being a Newark firefighter. I did go to the POW during the collapse of the buildings. So it was an honor just to even be them to see there, and you'd be surprised their parents probably didn't go either. So these kids were exposed to a lot of things in public safety, because public safety just don't only include the police department, it includes all public safety, which is police, fire, and EMS. In addition, I want you to think the fire department as a resource to you. Since my tenure here so far, the fire department's been trained, everybody about autism. Everybody in the department went through this training, so now the Trenton Fire Department is a certified autism training center. In addition, I trained all the members also opioid distribution. So we are a resource in the city that can attack the opioid crisis in the city of Trenton, and autism training. And also, if you're familiar with the Juvenile Fire Setters Program, it was something that was lagging in the department. When I got here, I spoke to those individuals in the county, and so we actually re-energized that program. I got a couple more people trained. So whenever there's an issue with a child in the school system that set a fire, we take them to a deterrent program, opposed to jail, come to the fire department, go out there to see them, counsel them, and get back to, of course, they go through a program, get back to the courts, and they won't be charged in their record. So, like I said to you before, consider the fire department a resource. I'm glad to see one of Trenton's bravest on the call, Mr. Keon Jones, who's one of my firefighters. It was great to see him there. I heard about him doing many things, and I look forward to working with every last one of you and pushing this town forward for excellence. Thank you.
Thanks. And going forward, my office will be providing the fire department with $30,000 a year to run the Junior Public Safety Academy so that they don't have to reject anyone and can provide more opportunities for the students.
Thank you.
A man who needs no introduction, Trenton Police Director Steve Wilson.
Good morning, everyone. What he said. Director Douglas and I, since day one, when we both got here right around the same time, started collaborating. I had already instituted the Police Explorers program, which was missing out of the city of Trenton for a couple of years. But when Ken and I started working together, what he did was lend firefighter experience and personnel into the Police Explorers program, so the kids may be exposed to more than just police-minded applications. So we are both doing the same thing. We're traveling down the same road, and the better our partnerships are, which we have a great partnership, and this is what this is all about. All of this is about the partnerships and moving the city forward and making it safer. So we're moving away from the crime fighting idea, crime fighter, cops versus robber, and what we're doing now with all the collaborations. Bless you, Tracy. What we're doing now is it's about public safety, which includes fighting crime, but public safety is a bigger hug on the city, and it involves more than just police and then fire, because that's what the old model used to be. Police and fire is how we keep our city safe, but it's not. There's so much more to it, and all the people in the room, all the people on the call, they're part of that what we call public safety now, and those partnerships and those collaborations. That's how we get it done, and I'm proud of that. And it's a much better approach because in that is healing, in that is treatment for our traumatized folks, and it's not just children. There's more than just children that are traumatized in the city. So with all this collaboration here is how we get it done. And on the law enforcement end, statistically, we have just about a 50% reduction in our most violent crime, homicide in the city at this point, which I'm very proud of that. That's everybody in this room had played a part in that. And I will tell you that with our street teams out there, Salvation and Social Justice and the Trenton street teams, that my calls for services in and around the school have lessened. We still have them because we still have some kids that are still on the wrong path. But those calls for service that have less than, I don't know, Dr. Earl, would you agree?
Yeah.
So, and I certainly am appreciative, and I'm proud of that fact. We can always improve. I say that about everything that I am involved with. There's always room for improvement, and we will strive and endeavor to do that. But our statistical information as far our clearance rate for shooting incidents is 40%, which is higher than the national average. One of the clearance rates that they don't do nationally is for shooting where someone is shot at but not struck, and it's just a shooting that's out there. Our clearance rates for them is nearly 50%. So that means that we are actually taking some of our most violent offenders off the street before they've actually harmed somebody with just the attempt. And it's not that we are, you can incarcerate the problem away, but we still have to do our law enforcement part in that endeavor. And then even some of those folks that are just getting involved in that violent lifestyle, maybe they can be intercepted and guided away from that. So the more people that we can encounter and stop from doing this, that's the true crime prevention in the city, is if we can stop our young people from going down that road to begin with. So that's one of our successes this year. We are doing well in those areas. And that's it. Can you add anything else?
Why don't you do the guns that you guys took off the street and what the hotspots are?
Oh, okay. So last year there was 325 weapons we took off the street. This year there's 354. We had a 9% increase in the amount of guns that we took off the street. Those do include those ghost guns. We've successfully charged a individual who was bringing ghost guns into the city, which is I think that's very significant for a reduction of some of the violent crime. And we've also identified our area hotspots, and we have one in each ward. In the West Ward, it'd be Oakland and Hoffman, Dolly Homes in the north, the Wilbur section in the east, and Center Street, specifically around the 500 block of Center Street in the south. So as we identify these areas is where I will dedicate our manpower and our resources into to quell the violence in those areas.
And the one other area that we just wanted to alert you to was that Layler Street area. For the past 2 years, there have been 2 homicides at the 7-Eleven, which although in Hamilton Township is right on the city border. So just a little extra attention, little extra awareness of your surroundings if you guys happen to be working in that Layler Street area.
Oh, one more thing. What's very impressive is as I ride around the city and I see both street teams actually engaging out there and seeing the difference that they make, and it lightens my load, so to speak, when I see that, and I've seen it from both teams. Recently, our Trenton Street team was involved in the recovery of a juvenile, and that family has some issues, and they're getting some services. And I see Salvation Street team out there and their interactions in the schools, and it's certainly a positive effect. I can see it, and I think the community can feel it as well. They see it. The other thing is Firefighter Jones. You mentioned Pete Lewis, and when I heard that name, because Pete Lewis and I were in my younger career in the police department were adversarial, to say the least, and that makes me happy that he is part of street teams and doing what he's doing. So if you can relay I'm happy and I thank you, and I'm proud of him for making that turnaround. I'd appreciate it. So that's all. I don't want to take away. I think the major is here from the state police, so I'll turn it over to him.
Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Major Brian Polite with the New Jersey State Police. Been in state police for 22 years in various capacities. Like my colleague, Director Douglas, I'm also born and raised in North, very proud. And seeing what the work that the street teams in North did, when I heard that the street team was coming to Trenton, it was something that was very exciting, and I'm very thankful that we have a street team in the city of Trenton. The New Jersey State Police, we're here in support of our law enforcement partners, prosecutors, done a terrific job, and a director, and fire director as well, and also our chief chaplain, New Jersey State Police Chief Chaplain. I'm very proud. That's part of the New Jersey State Police now is Pastor Taylor. He's been a terrific partner, and what Capital City Coalition has done, I think it truly should be a model, not only throughout the state, but throughout the country, to be quite frank. I think it's solution oriented and it brings everyone together. I just want to also thank Dr. Boyer. He's one of my favorite people. I thank him for all the work he's done and continue to do. And as far as what I do, I'm in charge of our employee relations and community outreach section for the New Jersey State Police. Essentially, what that is, if you look at it with two arms, one arm being our outreach to our employees, that being mental health and wellness. So my office is in charge of all the health and wellness and mental health outreach initiatives to not only state police employees, but also state employees throughout and within our state. So that's the internal portion of it. Our external portion of it is our community outreach and recruiting arm. So we, for years, the New Jersey State Police has worked with our law enforcement partners and our community partners, and we conduct outreach and recruiting initiatives throughout the entire state. We're perpetually hiring, and we're about to embark upon another hiring process soon. So hopefully we'll be hearing more from us regarding that, but we also, anything regarding outreach, and we've been throughout Trenton, throughout the years, the holidays, whether it's a soup kitchen, a barbecue, a community walk, whatever that may be, we're here with our law enforcement partners to help out. What I'm truly grateful for and truly want to lend the support of the state police is that I think we all have come to an understanding that arresting our way out of issues is not going to work. If it hasn't worked, then the stats show that. So to bring a restorative, community-based initiative to work with law enforcement, I think is the right recipe for us to start making some real change. And I think whether it be social justice or the street teams, addressing some of the systemic issues that our people face in Trenton and other cities, whether it's poverty, mental health, which often lead to violence and incarceration. If we start addressing those holistically and working together to address those issues, I think we can start really making a difference and providing some resources to these communities and to these young men and women who find themselves in these situations, not often by choice, but by circumstance. So I say that to say that from the New Jersey State Police perspective, I look forward to speaking to you more about the various initiatives we have. I know this is our introductory meeting, so I won't get too deep in some of the many initiatives that we do, which we do a lot, and I'll look forward to talking to you more about that in some subsequent meetings. But I just want to let you know that as far as whether it's Salvation Social Justice, the street teams need, our law enforcement partners here, whatever that ask is, the New Jersey State Police is going to be arm in arm with you to make sure that we're in this fight together. So thank you very much.
Go ahead, Superintendent Earl. A great friend since he's been here and really bringing some much needed stability to the Trenton Public Schools. And he's got some great ideas, including making sure that the students are prepared for a career. if they decide not to go on to college, and that's Superintendent James.
That's our goal. Thank you, and thank you so much for the invitation. My name is James Earl. I'm the superintendent of schools of Trenton. I'm in my second year. I returned to Trenton, as I hear so many people talked about on this call, coming back to do work. I served as principal at Trenton High School from 2006 to 2009. And have always thought to come back because I wanted to work with the families, the young people here in the community, to see positive change for our young people. So really excited to be back and doing great work. And as you know, we're often charged to educate and get our students in class, in school, and teach them science, math, social studies, and all those things that we know we're judged by the New Jersey Department of Education. However, as Major Polite talked about, we can't do this, and so many of you have talked about, without building strong social and emotional foundations and mental health foundations for our students. So I am grateful for the partnerships, the people in this room, the people on this call, so many partnerships in the short time I've been here, of the individuals and organizations who partner with us to support students in school, and can't say enough about the street teams. Adding that as a component this year through the police department and the Salvation of Social Justice it's been a godsend for our young people after school. So I'm really excited about moving that into our schools, and we are connecting and talking currently with some of the individuals on this call about the potential to see these services that you talked about so often on this call move into the building throughout the school day, and some of the connections that we know our partners in Trenton, people who've grown up in Trenton and Newark and understand the challenge can bring to our students during the school day. Because if we can continue to build those strong foundations where students feel safe, they can then compete academically, and we can get them moved forward and have, open access for them post-secondary as they get through the school system. During my arrival and my time here, I struggled early on to figure out what it was we needed to do. And it showed up in the terms of street teams and boots on the ground, as I heard someone mention before. This is hard work. It's not easy work, and we need boots on the ground with people who know the students, know the community, know the streets of Trenton, understand this will be a consistent, sustained approach and how we address some of the challenges our students and our families face. And we don't give up. In the time that we serve this community, we understand that we have to make those sacrifices. So I'm excited to be sitting in the room with the men and women that I know are doing the work every day. We're often asked, what are we doing? And for those of you on this call, you are recipients also of being able to spread that message. This is happening right now. There is no blueprint to this. Often it's organic. It starts with an idea to put people boots on the streets to, provide safe passage to school. And then it grows into social and emotional supports and mental health supports in our schools. And so I'm so excited that our leaders in this community, all of you, have decided to join, the school district to do this hard work. Thank you for the opportunity, and I look forward to working with you all.
Pastor Taylor had to step out a minute, but I think that's it from our end, Tracy. Thanks.
Thank you, Angelo. And thank you, everyone that's in the office with Angelo for participating and being here. It's going to be very, very important of our connection with law enforcement as we begin to move this movement forward. Let me just recognize a couple of other people that are on the call. I just want to call on to have a few things. Assemblywoman Reynolds Jackson has been a great partner with Salvation and Social Justice. So I believe her chief of staff, Ed Gittens, is on the line. So Ed, if you want to just say something real quick on behalf of the Assemblywoman.
Thank you, Tracy. Just want to thank yourself and Salvation Social Justice and Pastor Taylor and Angelo for hosting this meeting. Before we stray away from the expungement talk that started the meeting and the limitations that are in place right now with the expungement, there is legislation that expands that. Assembly Bill 1362, which is sponsored by Assemblyman Wimberly and Assemblywoman Reynolds Jackson, would expand the different restrictions that are now in place on expungement. So we would love to have the community support. Once again, that's A 1362. I'm working now to find a Senate sponsor for that. But if you could call representatives throughout the state, don't call our office because we are a sponsor, but call the different representatives throughout the state and talk to them about joining on and pushing and sponsoring that legislation. It will go a long way towards helping our formerly incarcerated folks in terms of moving their lives forward. So thanks, Tracy. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ed. Appreciate it. A couple more people that we have on that just kind of joined us late. Reverend Rupert Hall is one of our hub partners, and he's on the call. Reverend Hall, you want to just take a quick minute to introduce yourself?
Good morning, all. I was traveling, and I've been with you for about 40 minutes, but I'm Rupert Hall, and I serve as pastor of Turning Point United Methodist Church, which is the oldest Methodist church in the state and the third oldest in the country. As part of our ministry, I also serve as the president of the board of Kingsbury Towers. Over the last 12 months, the board has gone through a transformation, having changed the management company that had been managing the building for about 40 years. It didn't happen overnight, and we are working very hard to make Kingsbury, to change the narrative, and we'll be looking for any and all partnerships because we find out that more than 1% of the population of Trenton resides at the Kingsbury Towers. So it's an important endeavor. It's not an easy lift, but I'll be looking forward to working with everyone on this call. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Hall. And real quick, as we begin to wind down also, we have so many service providers, and I'm just excited. We expected maybe 30, 40 people on this call. We have close to 80 on this call at one time. I've been following NORC's public safety roundtable meetings for the past 9 months, and they normally average between 80 and 100, 120 people on the call. So for us to have 80 folks on the call in Trenton, New Jersey is exciting. So I thank you all for your time for being here. But real quick, service providers that are on this call, please put into the chat, if I don't get a chance to have you introduce yourself, please put into the chat your name, the service you provide, and your contact information so that we can be sure that everyone is connected. Next, I want to bring up the brother I seen on the call, who's also been a great partner in this work with the African American Chamber of Commerce, my dear friend Gene Bowie, who's also have services that they can offer for brothers and sisters who are looking to get training, vocational training. I say it all the time. It's good to go into these communities and talk to our brothers and sisters and give them the option between choosing life and death. Because when you stay in the streets, you choose death. But the options of life, whether that's vocational training, entrepreneurship training, educational opportunities, relocation. If Pookie want to go down south to Atlanta, we want to be able to help him go down south to Atlanta. So all these services that we want to be able to offer our folks, we want to be able to make all those connections. So Gene Bowie, you want to just take 1 minute real quick to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Brother Tracy. This is just amazing, brother, to see all these people galvanized and focused on one initiative, right? Because if we want to change the reality in our community, we have to address the condition of the people. And so at the African American Chamber of Commerce, for 15 years, has done amazing work with Black businesses. And recently, Brother John Harmon started the Training and Development Institute, which I head, and we connect people to resources and resources to people. And so we have a number of training opportunities coming available. And of late, we've been actually sponsoring scholarships for career technical education and also vocational training at Mercer County Community College and Mercer County Technical Schools, because we need to give people choices, right? Not everybody's going to go to college. And so people need to be productive. And once we give them a knowledge of self and give them the tools to do for self, it changes our collective reality. So looking to do some amazing things in this next couple of months. Two things that immediately come to mind is we have a workforce readiness training that focuses on 5 skill areas: workplace basics, emotional intelligence, critical thinking, communications, resume writing, and also interviewing techniques. And we'll be launching online career pathways within the next 30 to 45 days. One is self-paced. Anybody in the community could sign up and purchase these classes. And the other is focused on organizational development. So for small and medium-sized businesses that can't afford training groups, they can actually log on and experience instructor-led online training. So praying for your continued success, Brother Tracy. You and Brother Pastor, man, keep up that good work. Love y'all much.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Next up, we have, I believe I've seen him on the call, Mercer County Commissioner Terrence Stokes is on the call also. So I don't know if he wants to say a few words, but I do want to recognize folks who have taken time out of their busy schedule to be on this call, to recognize that he is definitely in the house. Is Reverend Armstrong still on the call? Reverend Armstrong has some great information that we wanted to get out. So is Reverend Armstrong still on the call? I don't see him. All right. So real quick, as we begin to wind this down, as I stated, anybody else that want to, make sure you put your information in the chat. But if you just want to chime in and introduce yourself, you can just raise your hand, and you can do this real quick as we begin to wind down in these last 10 minutes. As I stated earlier, we want to make sure these roundtable discussions start on time and end on time. Our next, and before I get off too, I just want to mention our next roundtable discussion is going to be February the 2nd. Please put this in your calendar. February the 2nd is going to be every first Thursday of the month moving forward. We're going to be holding these in the evening, even though we held this first one in the daytime. These meetings are going to be held in the evening, 7 p.m. to 8:30. We really believe that in order for us to have real meaningful public safety dialogue, we have to have the public on board. So having the meetings here in the evening give folks in the community an opportunity also to chime in. And I'll say this right here, and then anyone that want to introduce themselves can just go ahead and raise their hand. When we talk about partners, I've traveled around this country and I see different things. And I'm just going to give you a prime example. I had the privilege to do some work in Petersburg, Virginia. In Petersburg, Virginia, Sheriff Vanessa Crawford is 5-time elected sheriff of Petersburg, Virginia. She has one of the best robust reentry programs that I've ever seen in the country in Petersburg, Virginia. So when you look at a sheriff that's been 5 times elected for the work that she's doing, this is what we need to be doing here in Mercer County. So not on this call, and we want to make sure that they're on this call next time, is our Mercer County Sheriff. Because the Mercer County Sheriff Department operates in our downtown area, and we want to be sure that we're having dialogue and discussions with them about how we make our downtown city safe. EMTs, we've been having a lot of joke. Fire Director Douglas Biston, the EMS and the services that they provide with the overdoses that are happening on an alarming rate here in the city of Trenton. We want to make sure people are treated with compassion and respect. So we want to make sure those folks are on the call. So all our partners, as we look to do this work, we want to make sure that we're connecting with them and making sure that we are all on this together and on this call together. So real quick, with that being said, before we get off, do anyone else want to jump in and introduce themselves real quick for 1 minute, talk about their service and what they provide before we get off? All right, Lance Lopez, I see your hand up. Go ahead, Lance.
Good morning. First of all, thanks, Tracy, for allowing me to speak, and then for your gracious invitation. Again, everyone, my name is Lance Lopez. I'm the program manager for New Jersey MEP. We had a a grant-funded program which expired. And it seemed unbelievable to a lot of particularly our Trenton Mercer County residents who did not take advantage of the program. And it is a free training, self-paced training for certified logistics technician, certified production associate, and certified production technician. Right now, we have been funded for 5 years for this same certification. We also do cohorts in person, and this is at no cost for veterans, service members, and family members of service members and veterans. We're here for the community, and the only way you would know is to reach out, give me a call. We want to make sure that we service our communities, our veterans communities, and their families for these manufacturing jobs. So we're here to be a resource to you, to the people that you serve, and thanks for sending me an invitation. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Trace.
And Kai Durant, Reverend Teller, did I hear you say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to remind us so we'll be fair to the directors and also to the city council. Sometime on Tuesday afternoons, they have their meeting. So just in case they don't get on when you're having a public safety meetings in the afternoon, it's not that the new council and the directors, they want to be a part of, but sometimes they may be in city council meetings. I wanted to be fair to them because when we go to the afternoon, the community will play a very important part. And I also wanted to thank the vision of our superintendent, because all this great work we're doing with the street teams, if we didn't have a superintendent like Superintendent Earl, have the vision to not only have us in the street, but also in the school, we couldn't make the great strides that we have made in 9 months. That's a short time. We're doing some great things. So I just wanted to shoot that out there. Also, too, we're working hard with this expungement piece. We don't want that just to fly over. Superintendent Earl has offered Trenton High, and I got him right on the spot today. So he's got to work all of that out. Y'all know how I do. I try to connect things right away. And I want to thank Angeline Dean and them from my eternal family for the work too that we do with the expungement piece in the past and in the future. Bless you, Trace. That's it.
Thank you, Reverend. Appreciate you guys, Angelo, all you guys, Director Wilson, Douglas, all you guys. I can't say enough about this. And just a reminder, Reverend, the meetings will be held on the first Thursday of each month, 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Now, I know they do have council meetings on those evenings also, but if for some reason anyone that cannot be here, if you can send a representative to do a report out, that will be very helpful. Is it Kai Durant?
Yeah, I'm Kai Durant. Thank you for having us here and hosting this meeting and coalition. I'm Kai Durant with the New Jersey Division on Civil Rights. Our office and my team does outreach work to inform the public about the Law Against Discrimination, Fair Chance in Housing Act, and New Jersey Family Leave Act. So we do know your rights presentations, programs throughout the year, and we can go to groups to give them. We're also creating community mediation county coalitions. So that's something we're rolling out this year. I want to thank you for having this here, and I'm looking forward to continue going to these meetings and finding ways to collaborate with the different groups.
Thank you, Ms. Durant. Thank you very much. And thanks again for being here. If that's it, I believe I don't see any more hands up. I know Michael Norcrest from Owls is on. As we mentioned earlier, Owls has the Trenton Community Street team underneath them. Mike, if you want to say a few words before we get off, we still got 2 more minutes.
Sure. Morning, folks. Excited to see everybody here. And as you said, Tracy and everybody else, it's amazing to see this number of turnout for this first meeting. As always, we're thrilled to be operating in parallel to the Trent Restorative Street teams and excited to continue on this partnership and look forward to being involved in these roundtables in the future. So again, really appreciate everybody coming out and being a part of this and the partnership and the work that we're doing together.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike. So with that being said, to give you guys 1 minute back of your life today. We really appreciate you all for being on this call. We look forward to seeing you all again Thursday, February the 2nd, 7 p.m. to 8:30. You will receive the email. It will be posted on social media, the link. Please tell a friend that tell another friend to join in on these calls, and let's work together to make a safe Trenton, New Jersey, and a safe capital city. Thank you all very much. God bless.
Good. Hey, Tracy, could you stay on the street team? Could you guys stay on for a minute?
Yes.
Thank
Yes.
you all for attending.
Thank you. Thank you all.